Hi Bernhard, welcome back. Okay, right, back to the nitty gritty of it. This is your, if you will, your toolkit that we want you to work on between now and when we get together next. And as I said, when you're over stateside, if you've got any issues, just feel free to drop me a line or give me a call at some point. You can see the difference here in the centre, top centre and lower centre, bottom centre if you will, of your setup from start to midway through the session. And the whole session really now is about improving your ability to tighten the radius of the swing, improve the location of your handle, and improve your ability to tuck the hips on the way through. So the first drill we worked on was regarding handle location, and you can see here towards the midway point in your session you're getting much better at doing this drill. We do want to improve that drill somewhat. The idea is to push the hips forward, almost preset a really good impact position, a dynamic impact position where we preset this side bend to the right away from the target, created by the hips moving forward. We've got the left knee out in front of the left ankle, and we've got the handle leading the club head. Once we get that position, then what we want to try and do is just maintain that through the hip, just to get familiar. We're isolating impact, and as we come through impact, if we just run you through and freeze frame it at impact, weight forward, side bending to the right, handle leading the club head, and compare that to your initial impact position. Left leg straightening too quick, hips moving back, not much side bend to the right, more importantly club head leading the handle. You can see how this swing here and the bottom centre needs much more of what you're doing here on the top left. Now when you're setting up for this drill, I just took some time the other day after the session to film myself doing the drill, and this is how I'd like you to do it. Push the hips forward much more than you see, create much more side bend to the right. So you can see the difference between my setup there on the bottom left and yours on the top left. So there's more side bend to the right, the hips have been pushed forward for longer. So from a normal setup, we're pushing the hips forward and creating the sort of angles that we would like if we had to demonstrate a really sort of strong impact position where hips have moved forward, handles leading the club, etc. So that's more the setup that I want you to take. I'm going to come back to that drill shortly when we talk about tucking the hips, but for now I'll just leave that image up so that you can soak up the differences. Top left, much better sort of demonstration of the drill than you were doing at the beginning of the session, but needs to be refined. And like I said during your visit, you will become much better at demonstrating the drills as you become familiar with them. The next drill we did, and you can use, we're using this sort of marking cone here. You can use your golf towel, fold it in half, place it about 18 inches behind the golf ball. What we want to do now is we want to make sure that we miss the cone both sides of the swing, if you will, on the way back. That creates a nice sort of ascent of the hands, gets the left shoulder working down nicely, creates a nice centered position at the top, gets the arms loading a little bit sooner. But more importantly, what it's got to do is tighten up the radius of the swing. So we're very wide at P6, release point is too far back behind the golf ball. Potentially now the club, pretty much every time, is going to bottom out behind the ball. In order to miss the cone, you've got to keep the weight moving forward. We become a little bit tighter at P6. We would want that tighter still. And our ability to control the low point is becoming much better. And really, it's just a lot of drills. And you can see there up on the top centre, we're starting to get the hips a little bit further forward. We're starting to get the handle a little bit further forward. We're starting to slide the hips, create a little bit more side bend. Right arm's changing condition slightly as well. We then talked about, or you mentioned the fact that you were finding it difficult to tuck the hips. we spent a little bit of time working on tucking the hips and just the idea of working where to swing to, giving you a feel for the correct position. And you can see there in the top centre that you're arriving in a much more tucked position in your finish. What I'd like to do though is use this drill here on the top left to introduce a little bit more hip tuck as well. So you can see as you're doing the drill, you're keeping quite a lot of flex in the knees and quite a lot of flex in the pelvis. So as you come through, right knee's flexed, left knee's flexed, and we're still keeping some pelvic flexion there as well. So what we want to do is use this drill now to help accelerate your ability to tuck the hips as well. So from a setup where the hips have been pushed forward and the handle have been pushed forward, what I want you to then do is make a little swing like I'm demonstrating here on the bottom left, very small swing, and then on the way through, tuck the hips underneath. I'm just going to run that through a couple of times for you. Pushing the hips forward more, creating more side bend, and then tucking the hips under on the way through. So you can see in the latter part, post impact, I get rid of the flex in the left knee and I get rid of the flex in the pelvis. So you can see there are the two finishes. There's much less flexion now. Again, that's the sort of move that we want you to make. So when you're doing this drill on the top left is the most important drill for you. Short term. Mid term, we want to work a lot more on the cone once we get the feel, but the drill you're seeing on the top left and bottom left is the drill that I want you to focus more heavily on. So you're working in all aspects of the changes that we need to make. We've got more side bend to the right at setup, we've got the handle more forward, we've got the handle more forward and the hips more forward through the hip, and then we're straightening up and tucking underneath on the way through. So that's the long game covered. We talked a little bit about your pitching. Baseline for pitching, play the ball in the middle of the stance, keep the weight and the handle forward. The key thing for you was understanding where the shank came from. Your shank came because you rotated through too much, too soon, swinging very much to the left. And again, when you do that, you can see there's a lot of flex maintained in the hips and the knees. And really the big thing with your pitching was from that decent setup, feel like the arms are going to swing towards the target and keep the arms going straight down the target line for longer. That's going to control what the neck of the club does as it's coming into the golf ball. Too much turning pulls the golf club out towards the ball, and when the golf club is pulled out towards the ball, we're going to hit the neck of the club and we're going to hit the shank. If you do want to learn more about that, I mentioned to you on the day, we did a specific shank related blog. That's on my channel, it's on Game Improvement Area. If you want to visit that, feel free to do so. But like I say, the bulk of it, I want you to learn to tighten the radius of the swing. These changes that you're making are going to help you with your pitching as well as your iron play and your driver. One little sub note, the one thing that we did talk about with your driver was to bring all the pieces that we're doing here, we need to do for longer and we need to do more of them. But what we need to also introduce with driver is to just pull that right shoulder back a little bit at setup, making it easier for you to continue to hit out at the golf ball. It's a little bit of a sort of refinement to the bowling drill that you're seeing on the DVDs 2.0. So between now and when we get together next, what I want you to do is become as good as you can at demonstrating this drill that you see me do here for you, pushing the hips forward and the handle forward, little swing, maintain the position, and then tuck the hips under on the way through. So on the way through, we've got a straight right leg, a straight left leg, the hips are tucked under, and the arms are nice and straight. Good luck with it. Have a safe journey back to the States and look forward to meeting with you in September. Well done.